Right now, a Category 2 tropical cyclone is barrelling down the Western Australian coastline, and most people have no idea what is coming next. But here is the part that should really grab your attention. There is a second system forming off the Queensland coast that could become even more dangerous by next week. If you live anywhere in Australia, the next few minutes could be the most important weather forecast you hear all week. Before we get into the city-by-city breakdown, let me make you a promise. By minute 5, I am going to show you exactly what is brewing in the Coral Sea, a potential cyclone that weather models have been flagging for 2 straight weeks now, and why the next 7 days could bring some of the heaviest rainfall totals parts of Queensland and New South Wales have seen in a long time, 200 to 300 millimetres in some areas. That is not a typo. But stay with me, because the best part of this forecast, the part that could genuinely affect your plans this week, is coming up at around minute 3. But first, let us talk about the immediate threat, Tropical Cyclone Mitchell. As of this Monday afternoon, the 9th of February 2026, Mitchell is a Category 2 system tracking southward just off the Western Australian coast. And here is the critical detail that changes everything. It is staying just offshore. That is the worst possible scenario for maintaining strength. When a cyclone stays over warm ocean water instead of crossing land, it keeps feeding on that warm moisture. It keeps its energy, it keeps its punch. That means Mitchell is not weakening as fast as some people might hope. Every extra hour it spends over water is another hour it stays dangerous. So when exactly does this hit? Here is your timing breakdown for Western Australia, and I want you to pay close attention to your specific area, Carnarvon. The centre of Cyclone Mitchell is expected to make its closest approach to Carnarvon this Monday afternoon around 5 to 6 in the evening Western Australian time, give or take a couple of hours. Strong winds are already circulating around the system, with northeasterly and easterly gusts hitting first. Once the centre passes south of Carnarvon, those winds will swing around to a more southerly direction. That wind shift is important because it means the danger does not end when the eye passes. If you are in Carnarvon right now, you need to be fully prepared before 5 o'clock this afternoon. Secure anything loose outdoors, charge your devices, and make sure you know where your emergency kit is. Denham and areas just south of Carnarvon. Over the next 24 hours, from Monday afternoon through to Tuesday afternoon, rainfall totals around Denham could reach 150 millimetres. Let me say that again, 150 millimetres in just 24 hours. That is a significant amount of water in a very short window. Flash flooding is a real risk with totals like that, especially in low-lying areas and near creek crossings, Geraldton and inland communities. Even though the cyclone centre tracks further north, Geraldton and surrounding inland areas could still see 80 millimetres or more of rain through Tuesday. And here is the twist that a lot of people are not thinking about. If a thunderstorm embeds within that rain band, those totals could double overnight. We are talking potentially over 150 millimetres in localised pockets. Roads that were dry this morning could be underwater by tomorrow afternoon. Now, do not skip ahead just yet, because here is something most people are completely missing about this system. Mitchell is not just a coastal event. There is an entire convergence line, a massive band of unstable weather stretching from Western Australia right through the heart of the continent and out into New South Wales. That line is dragging thunderstorms and rain across a huge swathe of the country today. So even if you are 1,000 kilometres from the cyclone centre, you could still cop a serious drenching from this convergence zone. That is why this is a national weather event, not just a Western Australian one. By Tuesday afternoon, Mitchell starts to fall apart as it pushes inland. The cyclone loses its structure, the winds start to weaken, and it officially loses tropical cyclone status. But here is what happens next, and this is the part most forecasts completely gloss over. The leftovers of Mitchell do not just vanish into thin air. By Wednesday, the remnant low-pressure system drifts east and parks itself right over South Australia. It does not produce massive rainfall on its own, but it drags a blanket of heat and humidity across the top 2/3 of the state. That muggy, uncomfortable air is going to make Tuesday and Wednesday feel significantly hotter than the raw temperature suggests. If you are working outdoors in South Australia this week, hydration is not optional. Now let me walk you through the rest of the country, city by city, day by day. And remember, if you want to know specifically what is happening in your town, drop a comment with your location and we will cover it in tomorrow's update. Melbourne and Victoria. Tuesday brings some showers along the Great Dividing Range and into eastern Victoria, but rainfall totals are modest. Do not get your hopes up just yet. By Thursday, a cold front sweeps through, delivering showers and possibly a few thunderstorms. Most areas see below 5 millimetres. But the eastern half of Victoria, especially the mountainous regions, could pick up 5 to 15 millimetres. Friday and into the weekend, Victoria dries out significantly. A high pressure system expands from Bass Strait, bringing easterly winds that push moisture away. Even if a coastal shower pops up on Saturday or Sunday, it probably will not amount to much. If you are west of Melbourne, the chance of meaningful rain is very low this entire week. East of Melbourne, slightly better odds around the hills, but still nothing to write home about. And that is the frustrating split. Eastern Victoria gets a slim chance, Western Victoria stays dry, Adelaide and South Australia. The heat arrives Tuesday as the remnants of Mitchell push warm air southward. That is going to feel oppressive with the added humidity. Wednesday sees a southerly change approaching from the west, bringing some temperature relief, but meaningful rain stays elusive. By Thursday and right through into the weekend, South Australia looks completely dry. High pressure dominates from every direction and there is simply no moisture source to tap into. If you are waiting for rain in South Australia, this is not your week. Hobart and Tasmania. High pressure keeps things dry and settled early in the week. By Wednesday night, a polar change pushes in from the south, bringing a cold front to the west coast with rain and showers. Winds swing from northwest to southwest overnight into Thursday with a noticeable temperature drop. But rainfall totals stay modest. Heading into the weekend, Tasmania sits between two high-pressure zones. Scattered hit-and-miss downpours are possible, but large areas stay dry. Pack a light jacket for the evenings, but do not cancel any weekend plans. Now, here is where it gets really interesting, and this is what I promised you at the start. Do not miss this next section. Sydney and New South Wales. Wednesday is a hotter day for Sydney, the Australian Capital Territory, and surrounding areas as heat pushes across the state. Thursday brings that cold front through with some showers and thunderstorms, but totals in most areas stay below 5 millimetres unless you catch a thunderstorm directly overhead. Here is the big number though. By Friday, a convergence zone sets up between low pressure over Queensland and high pressure off the New South Wales coast. That squeeze effect pumps northeasterly winds along the coast, driving moisture straight into the ranges. Areas along the main ranges from south of Brisbane into the Northern Rivers of New South Wales could see 100 millimetres of rain in a single day. That water runs straight into streams, creeks and rivers. If you are in those catchments, particularly around the Tweed, the Richmond or the Clarence, watch water levels closely from Thursday night into Friday. But here is the bigger picture. Inland areas from Port Macquarie up through Brisbane and into Toowoomba, the 7-day rainfall totals sit between 200 and 300 millimetres. The highest totals are most likely at elevated areas where thunderstorms stack up day after day. That fine line between heavy rain on the ranges and dry conditions further west is razor thin. Go west of Sydney over the Blue Mountains and totals drop dramatically. Location is everything this week. And now the part you have been waiting for, the Coral Sea system. This is the section I told you about at the beginning, and it could be the biggest story of the next fortnight. Brisbane and Queensland. This is the one that has forecasters watching very closely and checking model updates multiple times a day. Out in the Coral Sea near the Solomon Sea border, an area of low pressure has been showing up in weather models consistently for 2 consecutive weeks now. That is highly unusual. Normally these tropical lows appear in the long range models and then disappear a day or two later as the atmosphere reshuffles. This one keeps coming back, forecast run after forecast run, day after day. As of this Monday, that low is starting to organise. It is beginning to spin more efficiently, developing a more circular shape. Those are textbook signs of a system trying to intensify. When you zoom into the forecast maps for next Sunday, the modelling shows what looks unmistakably like a tropical cyclone, potentially Category 2 or even Category 3, sitting offshore in the Coral Sea east of Queensland. Now, I need to be very clear and very responsible here. The tracking is not locked in yet. At this stage, the system is expected to drift southeast, which would take it out to sea and away from the Queensland coast. That would be the best case scenario. But there is a significant catch that keeps forecasters up at night. High pressure to the south could act like a wall and redirect the system. If that high shifts position even slightly, the Cyclone S track could change dramatically, curving it back towards the coast instead of away from it. This is not a time to panic. I want to be absolutely clear about that. There is no immediate threat to Queensland from this system right now, but it is absolutely a time to stay informed and pay attention to daily updates. We are monitoring this system every single day, and if it is still showing up in tomorrow's model runs, that will make it 5 or 6 consecutive days of consistent signals from multiple weather models. That is when forecasters start treating something as a genuine threat rather than just model noise. In the meantime, Queensland is already dealing with plenty of weather action this week, even without that Coral Sea system. Low pressure troughs are generating thunderstorms and heavy downpours across central and northern parts of the state day after day, hitting roughly the same areas repeatedly. When thunderstorms keep firing over the same ground, the soil becomes saturated and every additional drop of rain becomes runoff. Some inland Queensland locations could see 150 millimetres in just 24 hours by the weekend. That is flash flood territory, especially in areas that have already been wet. The Kimberley region in Western Australia, far north, also continues to see regular thundery showers throughout the week as the monsoon trough stays active across the tropical north. Darwin and the top end. Thunderstorms and showers continue as expected for the wet season, but the rainfall totals up in the far north are not as extreme as what we are seeing further south in inland Queensland this week, Perth and southwest Western Australia. After Cyclone Mitchell's convergence line early in the week, conditions settle quickly. By the weekend, most of Western Australia outside the Kimberley is looking dry and settled. Now, let me tie this all together with the 3 things you absolutely must remember from this forecast. Number 1, Cyclone Mitchell hits closest to Carnarvon Monday evening around 5 to 6 in the evening Western Australian time. Denham could see 150 millimetres. Geraldton 80 millimetres plus. The system weakens over land by Tuesday afternoon, but its remnants drag heat and humidity across South Australia right through into Wednesday. Do not underestimate the aftermath. Number 2, Friday is the critical day to watch for heavy rain in southeast Queensland and northern New South Wales. 100 millimetres possible along the ranges in a single day. 200 to 300 millimetres over the full 7-day period in some elevated areas between Port Macquarie and Brisbane. Watch river and creek levels closely from Thursday night onwards. Number 3, the Coral Sea low is the wild card of the entire forecast. It has been showing up in weather models for 2 consecutive weeks. It could become a Category 2 or even Category 3 cyclone by next weekend. The track is uncertain, and that uncertainty is exactly why you need to keep checking back. If high pressure shifts to the south, Queensland could find itself in the firing line. We will know significantly more in the next 48 to 72 hours as the models sharpen up. Now, here is what I need from you right now. Drop a comment telling me exactly where you are located, your city, your town, your region, even your suburb if you want to be specific. We read every single comment and we use your locations to make sure tomorrow's forecast covers the areas you care about most. Whether you are in Carnarvon bracing for Mitchell right now, sitting in Brisbane nervously watching that Coral Sea low develop, sweating through the heat in Adelaide, or in Melbourne still waiting for any decent rain at all, tell us where you are and we will make sure you are covered in tomorrow's update. And speaking of tomorrow, that update is going to be critical. We will have the latest tracking on what remains remains of Cyclone Mitchell after it crosses the coast tonight. We will have updated rainfall totals for the eastern seaboard. And most importantly, we will have the newest model data on that Coral Sea system. If it is still showing up tomorrow after 5 or 6 days straight, we are entering a whole new level of watch mode for Queensland. I will see you tomorrow, Tuesday, right here. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on so you do not miss it. This is a week where the weather can change fast, and being one day behind could make all the difference.